Good morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Legal luminaries are raising concerns over fairness, due process, and constitutional integrity as the Senate prepares to deliberate on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case next week.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte no longer wants former spokesperson Harry Roque involved in his International Criminal Court case.
Secretary Larry Gadon challenges attorney Ferdinand Topacio to a one-on-one singing competition as he faces a petition for indirect contempt.
The Department of Justice says a human skull and several bones have been recovered from Taal Lake amid the ongoing search for the missing Sabongeros.
First in the news, several legal luminaries are voicing objections on the Supreme Court's decision on the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. This comes as the Senate prepares to deliberate on the case next week. Here's the report.
The Senate is set to tackle the Supreme Court's decision on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case on August 6. Senate President Chis Escudero said senators will be voting on what to do with the impeachment. The lower chamber, for its part, vows to file a motion for reconsideration before the Supreme Court. For former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, the Senate should not take action on the impeachment case for now, as the decision is still not final pending appeal by the House.
If the decision becomes final, of course we have to follow the final ruling of the Supreme Court. It's the final arbiter. Whether it's correct or not, that's the final ruling. It's only executory, but not yet final because the House still has a motion for reconsideration. Normally, you act when it's already final. Because there's a chance, because it's not yet final, there's still a chance it could be reversed or changed.
Personally, though, Carpio isn't in favor of his former colleague's ruling. In particular, he questioned the part that said the articles of impeachment had no plenary vote before they were transmitted to the Senate. Recall that more than 200 or a third of the House of Representatives signed the impeachment complaint submitted to the upper chamber.
So the finding of the Supreme Court in their decision that there was no plenary approval of the fourth complaint is totally wrong, because that is not what the records of the House show. There was an actual action, actual vote by the plenary to send the fourth complaint to the Senate. It was even unanimous. Nobody objected.
Carpio also believes the one-year bar rule isn't applicable to the fourth impeachment complaint.
The Supreme Court said that the one-year bar rule started to run when the House adjourned. So when the House adjourned, the fourth complaint was already approved by the plenary and it already reached the Senate. So obviously, the one-year bar rule cannot apply to the fourth complaint. The fourth complaint was filed on time.
This was seconded by one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution, Attorney Christian Monsod. In particular, he zeroed in on a portion of the Supreme Court ruling stating that the Vice President wasn't given due process in the complaint.
That happens in the hearing in the Senate.
Yes.
So even the basis for the Supreme Court ruling of lack of due process is wrong.
Meanwhile, former Integrated Bar of the Philippines President Domingo Cayosa warned of far-reaching consequences on public accountability and constitutional integrity. He urged the Supreme Court to reconsider or clarify its ruling, suggesting the possibility of oral argument and wider judicial participation.
Maganda nga yung thinking ng iba na why did you not conduct an oral argument or some suggestions that it might be good for them to give the MR a chance so that for an oral argument so that everybody could hear it, assuming they will allow public oral arguments, and the full court or the other two who were not there can participate.
Vice President Sara Duterte vowed to stay resilient against what she described as greedy political leaders following the Supreme Court's move to block her impeachment trial in the Senate. In a statement, she thanked her legal team and welcomed the High Court's ruling that deemed the complaint unconstitutional. She also acknowledged those who questioned the House's actions, asserting that the Filipino people deserve leaders who prioritize national interest over personal agendas. The Vice President also said the prayers for justice offered by parents, children, and silent supporters had lifted her spirits. Well, kumbaga sa paglilinaw lang natin, hindi naman po sinasabi na inosente or hindi guilty si Vice President
Malinaw
Sara Duterte sa kanyang yung mga allegations against
Malinaw
her.
sa decision ng Supreme Court, sinabi, we
This
are not
is
absolving...
procedural issue.
We're not absolving the Vice President of any wrongdoing or crime. But if anyone wants to file, sa 2026.
Yeah.
Pero ang sabi ng lawyers...
Kasi hindi pa doon nagpunta yung usapin eh. 'Di ba? Yung merits ng
sabi ng ibang
ng
lawyers,
case.
justice delayed, justice denied. So you're delaying it for 1 more year if you want to file and hold somebody accountable. So you're denying justice. So
Kaya
yun
nga
ang
sinasabi din ng
interpretation
ibang
ng iba.
mga legal luminaries, this is a dangerous precedent because...
Sabi ni Attorney Cayosa at ni Carpio, Justice Carpio.
Dahil nga, di ba, they are actually, yung House of Representatives actually aligned their decision doon sa 2003 ruling, no, yung Francisco versus House of Representatives na magiging impeachment complaint lang siya, official impeachment complaint, kung yung case, yung complaint ay naipasa na sa Justice Committee.
Yeah.
Which is yung tatlong nauna daw, hindi naman yung pang-apat lang yung naipasa sa Justice Committee.
And before we go, no, parang napakasimple lang sinasabi ni Attorney Monsod na the law is supposed to, the provision for impeachment is supposed to protect the people from erring officials. Diba? So parang all you have to do is put common sense. Parang sinasabi niya, it's meant to hold somebody accountable. So if I want to escape accountability, I'm an erring official, magpa-file ako ng 5 kaso na sabay-sabay, o di by then, moot in academic kasi more than 1 case na ang na-file eh. So ang definition is dapat na initiate sa isang committee. I remember si former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, nag-hold yung 1-year ban on filing impeachment against her. Noon form and substance dininig sa Committee on Justice at sa form pa lang wala na, pero nagkaroon ng sa committee ng talakayan sa committee.
Sa Justice Committee.
Tapos the Justice Committee said kulang sa form and substance. Doon nag-trigger kay President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo at that time, doon nag-trigger yung kanyang 1-year immunity from impeachment.
Kaya nga sinasabi nga nila na mawawala ng accountability yung mga public officials pag ganito yung mangyayari. That's why they're saying this is a dangerous precedent.
Hindi mo na kailangan tignan yung laman ng impeachment eh. Mag-file ka na lang several eh. Tapos na.
Pero yun nga, tinitingnan din natin kasi sabi nga nila, nag-overreach daw. No? Ibang mga legal luminaries are saying na baka naman nag-overreach ang Supreme Court dito in terms of yung discussion ng procedure ng House of Representatives kasi supposedly co-equal branch, etc. But they're also citing yung nangyari before, yung sa kaso ni late Justice Corona, na meron kasing part dun sa investigation nila during the trial na kailangan buksan yung foreign bank account. Pero through Supreme Court, hindi yun pinayagan. And sabi ng Senate at that time, para sa paggalang na rin sa Supreme Court, hindi nila ginawa yun. But at the end of the day, he was found guilty na not declaring yung kanyang salin.
Yeah.
So, tititingnan natin na kasi ang House of Representatives is filing a motion for reconsideration. And ano ba yung magiging, kumbaga, parang bala nila dito when in fact, 13 justices, diba, nag-vote nga nitong SC ruling na to in favor of VP Sara's defense.
Ang sabi ni Attorney Princess Abante, sinabi niya they did not ask for a comment sa House of Representatives. And ang basis daw na most of the decisions were articles and media correspondence. So sabi nila, if they take a look at this evidence that we have and the documents that we have, they will appreciate yung argument nila.
So from one Duterte to another.
Both Dutertes. All right,
This
let's
one,
move on. Oo. Former President Rodrigo Duterte no longer wants former spokesperson Harry Roque involved in his international criminal court case. That's according to Duterte's lead counsel attorney Nicholas Kaufman. In an interview, Kaufman said Duterte has made it clear that Roque should stop interfering and return to the Philippines to face his own legal issues. He also revealed Roque's attempt to sue the Dutch government, which Kaufman called a crazy scheme that could have compromised Duterte's defense. Kaufman accused Roque of undermining the legal team from the beginning, misleading the public and pushing legal actions without proper coordination. In response, Roque denied any interference and reiterated his continued support for Duterte's defense. Wow!
Oo. Pero actually, I
oo.
was looking at the article nga here, sinabi nga daw niya, parang may message siya kay Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, ng legal counsel ni former President Rodrigo Duterte sa kanyang kaso dyan sa The Hague. Sabi niya, I thus call on Attorney Nicholas Kaufman to put an end to this blame game. Simply channel his time and energy to bring the former president home alive to make the Filipinos the happiest persons on earth. I hope this puts the record straight. Kasi sinasabi nga niya, hindi naman daw siya nakikialam, and whatever it is that he was doing prior to this situation, or during the day that former President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested, lagi naman daw may consultation with Vice President Sara Duterte.
At saka, kasi when he speaks, it seems like sa public that he's speaking on behalf of former President Duterte, which sabi ng mga ibang attorney and lawyers in criminal trials and court, he should not do that because yung credibility niya as a representative for Duterte is down the drain, especially with videos out there saying before the campaign pa of former President Duterte, he was attacking the president at the time.
Human rights lawyer.
He was calling Duterte a killer and all these other things to that
mga
extent.
statements
May mga statement allegedly on video so hindi po galing sa amin yan, on video yan. So yan ang sinasabi ng ibang nagdi-defend kay former President Duterte, you're defending him now and yet you were attacking him way before. So that casts a doubt on your...
Baka mag-contradict kasi yun sa mga investigations, baka magamit pa yung videos na yon ng prosecutor against
May point naman yung attorney ni President
I remember
Duterte.
kasi diba the day that the President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested and brought to the ICC.
Siya una
pumunta siya naman. To be fair naman, diba, nandoon siya to support.
Siya yung nag-doorbell
He offered pa na maging part. Actually, parang meron pang statement na makakasama talaga siya sa legal team. Pero the next day, sa kanya na rin mismo nagsabi na hindi na matutuloy yun, at he will just support
Saka
whatever.
nangangamoy may problema.
Kasi meron siyang nagsisik siya ng asylum, di ba?
Saka may problema din na especially when we interviewed Attorney Sal Panelo, parang sino si Attorney Harry Roque, di ko kilala yan. So, and we all know naman si Attorney Salvador Panelo was the legal counsel of the former president here in the Philippines. So, if he says that na parang may lamat sila, alam mong there's something going on between Harry Roque, Attorney Harry Roque, and the rest of the Duterte camp.
So, ayun. Ito, lastly, sinabi nga ni Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, a Dutch lawyer has confirmed to me that Harry Roque approached him with an initiative to sue the Dutch government of facilitating the rendition of former president. So sinabi niya,
na hindi sanction
sabi niya, in my opinion, this was crazy scheme because the release of former president would require the cooperation of Dutch government. So parang talagang iba dun sa, kumbaga, yung strategy ng legal team ni Pangulong Duterte.
Alright, let's go back naman sa usapin ng impeachment. Senators are set to vote next week on whether or not to proceed with the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. For now, let's get updates from the Senate with mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Merimon, what's the latest right now?
Good morning sa inyo. Anytime soon na magkakaroon tayo ng press briefing with Senator Risa Contiveros, and possibly matatouch natin yung issue tungkol nga dito sa awaited August 6 na date kung saan senators will be deciding on the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte na dinesisyonan nga ng Korte Suprema as unconstitutional. Pero so far, tahimik pa dito sa Senado kasi adjourned din ang plenary session until Monday. Kaya asahan din natin kasabay ng plenary sa umaga naman magkakaroon na rin ng komitian. Magkakaroon na rin ng hearing yung ilang mga committee, especially pagdating dito nga sa Games and Amusement Committee na pinamumunuhan ni Senator Erwin Tulfo and Committee on Basic Education with Senator Bam Aquino. Kasi kagabi sa kanilang privilege speeches for Senator Bam Aquino, gusto niyang ma-address yung kakulangan sa mga classroom. This is also supported by Senator Sherwin Gatchalian na hawak dati yung Committee nga on Basic Education, and even Senator Pia Cayetano na nasabi nga nila yung over 159,000 na supposedly kakailanganing classrooms, mukhang hindi magkakasya yung only mga around 3 billion na pesos na budget for this year kung ikukumpara nga doon talaga sa kakailanganin na daan-daan na bilyong piso. Kasunod din yan, si Senator Mig Zubiri naman sa kanyang privilege speech, madiin niyang sinabi na shame on you, Palcor, shame on you, operators of online gambling, dahil yung mga kinikita naman daw nila dito ay nanggagaling mismo sa bulsa ng mga manlalaro. And base nga sa mga report, yung from 3 million players up to 5 million or 6 million na this year, karamihan sa mga ito, mga bata raw na nangungupit na ng pera sa kanilang mga magulang para lang daw tumaya. Even PUV drivers na nagkakaroon din ng threat when it comes to the safety of their passengers. So kasabay niya, nagkaroon ng suporta mula rin sa karamihan sa mga senador. So asahan natin by next week, tutugisin na nila ito. Kasi ang nasabi ni Senator Erwin Tulfo, kung para sa kanya, total ban talaga on online gaming or gambling. Pero aware siya na mayroong mga may gusto regulation, mayroong may gusto ng banning. So ang gusto niya muna raw gawin is mag-conduct ng hearings sa mga stakeholders involved dito. After niyan, magre-report daw siya sa Senado and hopefully magkaroon ng audience with the President for possible executive orders to tackle this online gambling issue.
Okay, Mary Mon, matanong ko about the impeachment, no? Kasi yung mga ibang returning senators, like we have Senator Ping Lacson, Senator Tito Soto, Senator Bam Aquino, and Senator Kiko Pangilinan already have voiced their parang not support but parang their opinion na dapat talagang tignan kung pwede ituloy yung trial this part of the Supreme Court ruling. Do you have any unofficial statements also from other senators na gusto ituloy sana ang trial?
Kasama dyan sila Senadora Risa Hontiveros kasi sila itong mga lumipas na araw, mariin niya rin nga pinapaliwanag na hindi raw sila hihinto doon sa simpleng ruling lang ng Supreme Court. Maaari kasabay ng motion for consideration nga ng Kamara, magkakaroon din dito ng possibly ng, kaso nga lang mauuwi raw kasi talaga ito sa botohan tulad ng sinabi ni SP Cheese Escudero. So that will depend sa final call nga nitong mga senador, at actually ang nabanggit pa nga ni Senator Erwin kahapon, si Senator Rodante Marcoleta, yung may gusto raw talagang ma-dismiss na itong impeachment sa pangalawang araw ng plenary session nila dito. Pero since nagkaroon ng negotiation between the minority and the majority during their caucus, napag-usapan nga, according to Senator Tito Soto, minority leader, na magkaroon ng extension until August 6 para raw mapag-aralan talaga at masuri ng mabuti itong 97-page ruling. Tsaka natin makikita by August 6 kung ano nga ba yung pagbobotohan nila.
And finally, just to make it clear, itong Senado na to will convene as a Senate, no, in plenary when they will tackle the fate of the impeachment case of VP Sara, hindi as impeachment court kasi wala na silang jurisdiction. Tama ba?
Yes, Angela, yan din yung nasabi ni SP Cheese kasi lumabas dun sa ruling ng SC na mulat-mula walang jurisdiction na nakuha ang Senado over the impeachment case. So, para raw maiwasan na matignan na lumalabag sila doon sa ruling ng SC, hindi muna magko-convene ang Senado sitting as impeachment court. Rather, pag-uusapan nila ito sa plenaryo at pagbobotohan during that time.
All right, thank you for that. Mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes reporting live from the Senate in Pasay City. Meanwhile, Senate Finance Committee Chair Senator Win Gatchalian said he will push for greater transparency in the bicameral budget deliberations by live streaming the proceedings and uploading all related documents to the Senate's official website. Gatchalian added that the BICAM should focus on disagreeing provisions between the House and Senate versions. Technical committees, he said, are needed to reconcile differences in the thousands of pages of the National Expenditure Program. Gatchalian also noted that President Marcos's fourth SONA will help shape the 2026 budget.
I will take it further than just opening it to the public. I will make sure, at least on the Senate side, that the documents pertaining to the budget will be uploaded to the website. What I intend to do is to limit the BICAM to disagreeing provisions. So meaning what the House did not or did propose and what the Senate did or did not propose, those are the only items that we can talk about. We cannot talk about items outside of the disagreeing provisions.
The House of Representatives elected committee chairpersons for the 20th Congress. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza has the report.
The House of Representatives elected new key positions in the lower chamber to open the 20th Congress House leadership roster. Minority Leader and four-piece party list Representative Marcelino Libanan named the new posts, wherein his co-four-piece party list Representative JC Abalos will head the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, while Bicol Saro party list Representative Terry Ridon is the chairperson of the House Committee on Public Accounts. Ridon's election in the post also marks the completion of committee leaders that comprise Quadcom set to resume its investigation to extrajudicial killings, illegal drug operations, and organized crime syndicates. Other minority leaders include Caloocan 2nd District Representative Edgar Erice as Senior Deputy Minority Leader, while former Senator and ML Party List Representative Laila de Lima will serve as one of the minority leaders in the House. On the other hand, sessions in the House of Representatives started earlier than usual last Wednesday. Newly elected House Majority Leader Sandra Marcos says this move will pave way to a more productive session.
Given the fact that the House is in the process of organizing itself by appointing its chairpersons, its members to the committees, and of course going through the bills that were filed before the resumption of session, we have a lot on our plate right now, and so in order to expedite that, I thought it would be prudent for the House to start session at 2 instead of 3.
Marcos also considers the amount of bills that are to be referred to the appropriate committees in the House. He says it would be best to get it done as quickly as possible.
Just until the House gets organized. Ganun talaga kapag first week ng Kongreso, hindi pa fully functional dahil nag-a-appoint pa kami ng chairman, nag-a-appoint pa kami ng members sa mga committee, at rini-refer pa ang mga bill na final ng ating mga miyembro sa floor dun sa Kamara.
Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Well, Congressman Sandro Marcos is the youngest majority floor leader in the Philippine history of politics.
Of politics, oo.
To date, di ba? Siya yung pinakabata ngayon. But we'll see, no? Kasi, syempre, kasabay ng kanyang appointment dyan, may mga ibang kritiko na nagsasabi na yun nga, baka daw ma-threaten yung leadership, di ba, ng House of Representatives.
Kaya nga ang medyo confused ng iba kasi parang they see a disconnect between the lower house and Malacanang in terms of policy shaping. Usually kasi before, ang Malacanang and the lower house ang magka-tandem eh. Ang Senate ang naiiba. Ngayon parang baliktad. So parang sinasabi nila, what's happening talaga? Sino ang may alliances? Because ito ang inappoint nyo si Congressman Sandro Marcos to that position, parang it solidifies the connection between Malacanang. Although alam natin, they will say they're maintaining their independence, we all know naman that there's some sort of a connection between houses and Malacanang. Especially pag kailangan mo i-pass yung priority bills.
Yeah. Well, pagdating naman dun sa mga Senate Committee chairmanship, no, dyan sa Senado, as I've said, ay natupad naman yung mga hiling ng mga iba. Di ba? Kasi sabi nga nila, it's not a political strategy, pero ano daw yan, para sa bayan, yung mga hiniling ng ibang mga nasa majority pagdating sa kanilang chairmanship.
Parang yung word na yan, para sa bayan, medyong
tignan na lang natin.
Na no, we all know naman it is a political movement. It is but we all know, inamin naman ni Senator Bam at Senator Kiko, and on their part, they had to do it to push their agenda. But it does not mean they're one with the administration in other priority bills. Basta sa agriculture or saka sa education, we needed this committee, so we vote for the for the president.
Basta isa lang ang pinagkakasunduan ngayon, of course, no, ng Senate at saka ng House of Representatives is to open the BICAM to the public. Yan ang
Maganda yan.
pinagkasunduan nila finally, no, na they're pushing for it, na ma-publicize yung BICAM para daw maiwasan yung mga
Turuan.
surprise insertions, di ba, pagdating sa budget.
Tsaka hindi, pag may mga unpopular provisions na nare-release, natuturuan sila kung sino yung nagpasok na unpopular provisions. So dito, kitang-kita na natin sino ang nagpapasok ng certain provisions, who's trying to change it. Is it the Senate? Is it Congress? So kitang-kita na.
Alright, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The government is now putting pressure on water providers to deliver following a directive from the president. Here's the report.
It's not just water that's running short in Bulacan. Residents' patience is also drying up. In San Jose del Monte, nearly every household has buckets and drums lined up outside, desperate for water. In Barangay Kaipian, served by concessionaire Prime Water, residents have gone more than 2 weeks without running water. With no supply from their taps, families rely solely on water rationing. But often, they wait for nothing.
Naku, hirap na kami, sir.
2 araw na, puro punas.
Meet June Obingguar, one of the residents who tells us he fetches water from his office.
Ayan sir, mga 3 piraso lang po. Paligo po, pansaing po.
Even small businesses like Eva's Eatery are feeling the impact.
Nandun na kami sa punto ng depression kasi pag nagising ako, hindi na yung anak ko yung tinitingnan ko eh. Yung gripo, baka walang tulo.
Residents are now demanding that their water bills this month be waived. 7 million customers of Prime Water are affected by poor service, according to the Local Water Utilities Administration, or LUA. LUA says improving the service of water districts and their private partners is now a priority, following a direct order from President Bongbong Marcos in his SONA. They admit that concessionaires, including Prime Water and other water districts, have serious shortcomings.
Prime Water has some deficiencies in their contracts that we are trying to correct, such that hindi nagawan ng facilities, hindi natugunan yung mga kailangan like NRW, expansion, kaya hindi umabot yung necessary promises nila at tubig sa mga tao na apektado ng joint venture partnerships na to.
Lua did not directly confirm whether Prime Water will lose its contract, but hinted that if things don't improve, it's a real possibility.
One party cannot perform. Why do we expect them to?
Prime Water has already submitted a catch-up plan to address service gaps and is cooperating with the agency.
Officials from the Department of Energy and we're fixing up things, but talking about the water service, it's really ironic that a place like Bulacan that's having, we talked to Vice Governor Alex Castro, they're having problem with floods in several areas of Bulacan kasi yung mga sirang irrigation gates, di ba, yung mga water gates, and yet some of the towns wala naman tubig. Parang
alam mo yan, isa yan sa highlights, diba, ng speech ni President Bongbong Marcos sa kanyang State of the Nation address. Yun nga dahil sinasabi niya na yung mga dapat daw panagutin, 'di ba? Yung mga water providers na hindi ginagampanan yung kanilang responsibility.
Tapos may finocus na family.
Oo, yung of course we all know naman meron na of course yung
Prime Water sa Prime Water.
Ang Villar family dun sa Prime Water na yun yung talagang pinagkukunan ngayon ng issue right now na talagang ang daming nagrereklamo doon sa services. Kung hindi walang tubig, kung meron man, kung may lalabas, mga madilaw-dilaw or maitim.
Yes.
Pero mostly talaga nagrereklamo din yung mga residents, affected residents, yung mga na pinoprovider ng Prime Water na yung mga babae daw doon nagkakasakit na daw sila sa baga or masakit na yung mga likod nila dahil syempre sila din are forced to carry yung mga balde nila, diba, to have their own water supply. So yun nga, inaantay natin ngayon kung ano yung magiging action dyan because this is not the first time na ilang buwan na itong pinag-uusapan yung iba't ibang mga areas affected nga ng water supply.
Alright, several personalities are facing a petition for indirect contempt over their tirades against the Supreme Court's ruling on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment. Here's the report.
Halata kasi na itong Supreme Court is just siding with Sara. Ako nga, dinisbar ako for a much lesser offense. Samantalang si Sara, katakot-takot na pagmumura, katakot-takot na pagbabanta ng pagpatay ang ginawa niya, hindi siya dinidisbar.
After making scathing remarks against the Supreme Court's ruling that halted the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, Gadon faces a petition for indirect contempt filed by fellow lawyer Ferdinand Topacio. Rather than back down, Gadon hit back with a taunt, challenging Topacio to a one-on-one singing competition for a cause. Gadon dismissed the petition as a publicity stunt.
No one will ever be impeached from now on. Tapos sasabihin nila, kasi daw maraming complaint, allowed lang once a year. Marami yung nag-file, pero iisa lang yung dinala sa plenary. And that's what counts most.
Topacio, for his part, took Gadon's challenge in stride, but insisted the issue is no laughing matter.
Kaibigan ko yang si Atty. Gadon. In fact, lagi kami nagko-concert niyan. But kasamang Larry, I'm sorry, but this is no laughing matter. I am an officer of the court, and as such, isang katungkulan ko na ipagtanggol ang karangalan at reputasyon ng ating kataas-taasang hukuman. So, I'm sorry. I hope we can still be friends. Sa akin, this is nothing personal. This is part of my duties as an officer of the court.
Aside from Gadon, Akbayan Representative Percy Sindanya and Analyst Richard Haydarian are also facing contempt petition over their comments on the Supreme Court's decision on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment ruling.
I remember kasi I was able to interview political analyst Richard Haydarian pre-SONA sa Good Morning Kapatid. And I also asked that na, what do you think about the people who are saying na, kinikriticize nila yung desisyon ng Korte Suprema because nilalagyan nila ng kulay because most of the justices right now doon ay mga appointee ng Duterte administration.
Actually,
pero he said naman na, no, we don't want to go there, no. Of course, we want to respect yung decision ng Korte Suprema.
Actually, kasama ko si Haydarian yung actually sa coverage
naman ng
sa SONA, and he was saying that parang he is not actually hindi niya kinakastigo yung decision, but rather giving an opinion on why he does not agree with the decision of the Supreme Court, and he thinks that is allowed naman, diba? Kasi
but I think it's our we can call it civil exercise, diba, to question things that we think na hindi maganda for us, diba?
Well, it's the basic
freedom of expression.
Freedom of expression is enshrined in the Constitution, in the 1987-86 Constitution, which was drafted precisely to give us, to ensure na hindi na maulit yung suppression of free speech that happened in martial law era. So when you look at that Constitution, it says guaranteed ang free speech. But the key is the key there is responsible. But if you take a look at the statements against the Supreme Court, wala naman irresponsible speech doon.
Hindi ko pa narinig yung yung kay Secretary Larry Gadon, no? So I cannot comment on that as well. Pero yun nga, might as well kasuhan na rin lahat ng mga nagsalita against it. Yung mga legal luminaries that are saying na left and right, yung mga articles and interviews na sinasabi nila na saying na baka this is a dangerous precedent.
Para kay Justice Carpio, ano yan? Makasuhan mo rin yan. Diba? Just because you have a difference of opinion from the Supreme Court, kakasuhan mo na lahat. Mali yun. That will, nagkaroon pa tayo ng mga analyst, luminaries.
But since we are talking about freedom of expression, it is also their basic right. If they deem na merong mali doon sa ginawa ng isang tao, sige, mag-file kayo ng case. Pero yun nga, yung thin line behind that, we have to recognize that as
the very people who are filing the case are also people who are outspoken against the government. Diba? Si Attorney Topacio, he is a counsel for si Arnie Teves, diba?
And of course, a spokesperson ng...
he has spoken against the way the government has handled the cases of Arnie Teves, diba? So, medyong, we're skirting a fine line of
Basta yun nga yung
danger.
sinasabi ko, diba? Civil exercise, diba? To question things that we think na questionable for us.
Mag-exercise na lang kayo sa karaoke, sabi nila.
Pero
Magkaibigan naman yan
they don't want, sabi nga ni kasi we wanted to bring Attorney Topacio here, but sabi nga niya, meron na siyang gagawin, pero yun nga, tungkol dun sa usapin ng pag-challenge ni Secretary Lara Godon sa kanya. Sabi niya, he doesn't want to dignify that. Sabi niya, pero mas maganda pag-usapan na lang yung merits ng kaso,
kaibigan naman sila sabi niya, magkaibigan naman daw sila.
Hopefully we can get them on board for the next few days. Kahit hindi naman sabay, pag-usapan yung merits ng kaso.
Maganda na lang sabay, ipagbati natin yung magkaibigan.
Hindi naman sila magkaaway, di ba? Alright, another news, a powerful earthquake has rattled Russia's Far East, triggering tsunami warnings across several countries, including the Philippines. Here's the report.
A powerful magnitude 8.7 earthquake struck Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula on Wednesday. Videos captured furniture crashing down inside homes. In one hospital, doctors and nurses stayed calm and continued surgery despite the violent tremors. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake hit at a depth of 20.7 kilometers, the strongest in the region since 1952. Nearly 50 aftershocks followed, including one at magnitude 6.9. The quake also triggered a tsunami along Russia's far east coast, with powerful waves flooding a coastal town. The impact reached Japan, where large waves hit Hokkaido, prompting evacuations and tsunami sirens. Tsunami warnings were also issued across multiple countries, including China, Indonesia, New Zealand, Peru, Mexico, and parts of the United States like California and Hawaii. Back home, FIVOX has lifted tsunami warnings for 22 areas in the Philippines following the Russia quake. The agency confirmed that no significant sea level disturbances or destructive waves were observed along the Philippine coasts.
Oh, but yun nga, no, kasi yesterday, in the beginning of our newscast here, nagkaroon tayo ng breaking news
Yes,
dahil nga
about
dun
yung
sa
tsunami alert.
ng release by FIVOX doon sa areas affected. Ano?
Coastal areas of Japan,
1:20
Philippines.
and 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Well, thank God
yesterday.
naman
Pero
na-
ngayon lifted na.
Thank God wala naman
naman
talaga nangyari sa coast area. Pero sa Japan, if you
Yes.
saw the videos out on several news agencies sa Japan and also in social media, medyong malakas ang tama. Hindi siya malaki na mataas na tsunami na nakikita mo like in Fukushima, but just the same, nakikita mo yung impact niya sa coastal area ng kung saan tumama yung tsunami.
Oo, we've seen a lot of videos na nakikita natin yesterday dun sa mga lalo na right after the earthquake nga ng Russia. Tapos may pinakita pa doon, 'di ba, yung yung parang ang tawag
Yan.
dito,
Ito yung video,
hotel, yung building, 'di ba,
Yung
yung
building,
may
yeah.
mga nakatira doon na
Nag-video sila.
nakatingin, doon sa possible tsunami sa Japan.
Ito Japan, correct, no? Sabi direct, this is sa Japan. And you could see medyo uneasy ang waters. Pero the warning in the Philippines was below a meter ata. Sa Japan also, pero sunod-sunod kasi yung sa Japan eh. So you see those tawag dyan white caps. Kikita mo yan. Those are white caps, nakikita mo sa shore. When you see white caps, that's a disturbance sa flow ng water. Kasi dapat pagkalmado, you just see the color of the sea. Pero nakikita mo yung white, that means elevated siya.
May paggalaw sa ilalim.
May paggalaw siya sa
Kasi nag-trigger nga yan nung
Pero hindi
earthquake
biro
sa Russia. 8.8 magnitude.
Hindi biro ang dinanas ng lakas ng earthquake ng Russia. Pero ang buti na lang daw, it hit on the coast side ng Russia. Sa town na yon, hindi medyo sa sentro. Kasi kung sa sentro ang origin ng earthquake, the damage would have been worse.
Ilang
daw.
meters yung yung tsunami sa Russia?
We have to check the report.
Parang
on that.
mataas siya
Hindi ako
eh.
familiar sa
Oo.
report na yan.
Mataas siya
Oo.
pero hindi ganun ka.
Oo.
But of course, we will continue to monitor the situation there as well as here. Kasi
Ito
yan,
Russia, ito
ipapakita
yung video natin sa what's the place?
Kamchatka.
Kamchatka, Russia. Alam natin yan. Kamchatka, Russia. This is the video, an overhead shot of the area with yung mga tsunami, supposed tsunami na tumama because of that earthquake na napakalakas na na-experience nila. Oo. And if you saw the videos nga, yung mga ibang videos, especially mga doctors sa hospital, well, kudos sa kanila. Di ba? Kalmado, they continue their operation. Ayun.
I remember din dati kasi yung during Yolanda, di ba nagkaroon ng issue din dyan, yung storm surge naman pala, yung pinag-uusapan doon, dahil hindi rin alam yung anong ibig sabihin nun. Pero yun nga, maigi naman nakaskade yung message yesterday. And we've seen some coastal areas here in the Philippines na alert talaga and nilikas o kinlear yung areas that will be affected just in case magkaroon nga ng tsunami.
Alright, don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Justice Secretary Boying Remula said authorities have recovered a human skull and several bones from Taal Lake amid the ongoing search for the missing Sabongeros. Remula said the remains were found in a location identified by whistleblower Julie Patidongan, strengthening the credibility of his testimony. He added that the victims may have been linked to not only to e-sabong operations but also to the drug war or other crimes. The recovered bones have been turned over to PNP Crime Laboratory for forensic examination. The National Police Commission has filed administrative charges against 12 police officers implicated in the disappearance of several cockfighting enthusiasts.
Joining us to explain this development is NAPOLCOM Commissioner Rafael Vicente Calinisan. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning.
All right, sir, based sa huling report, no, what led NAPOLCOM po to determine yung probable cause against these 12 officers?
Siguro, let me put it in proper perspective. The Inspection, Monitoring, and Investigation Service of the NAPOLCOM was the one which filed the formal charge against all of these policemen with the Legal Affairs Service of the National Police Commission. Kumbaga, yung mga investigador natin, yun yung nag-file ng kaso laban sa mga police dun sa ating legal service. And it will now be heard. There will be summary hearing officers. The respondents here, the 12 policemen, will be ordered to respond, and hearings will then be conducted.
If found po guilty sa mga crimes na charge against them, ano po ang magiging parusa sa officers na ito or officials na ito?
The minimum penalty could be suspension, the middle penalty could be demotion, and the highest penalty that is available is dismissal from the police service, and of course, forfeiture of all benefits.
I was wondering, perhaps can you enlighten us po, sir, doon po sa naging basis ng pag-file po ng kaso dito sa involved na police officers, yung basis po ba nito ay solely based doon sa testimony na binigay po ng whistleblower na si Julie Patidongan?
After going through the formal charge, it appears not to be. It's not solely based on the affidavit of Patidongan. The EMIS apparently reached its evaluation based on the totality of the evidence, the complaint of Patidongan, the complaint of other witnesses attached to the complaint of Patidongan, and other available evidence gathered during our investigation.
Perhaps can you also give us the details po, no? Doon po dun sa sinasabi yung other details nung basis ng merits ng kanilang kaso. Sino po yung other witnesses na yun, if you can tell that to us, and ano pong documents yung or evidence that you were telling us earlier?
Hingi siguro ng konting dispensa sa inyo doon because I'm in a very, very unique position.
I understand,
Executive Officer of the National Police Commission and Commissioner. And that means I will be one of those who will decide this case. But I understand also the need of the Filipino people to be informed on this matter and your rights as journalists, of course, to propound questions. So hingi ako ng konting dispensa, so I'm trying my best to answer your questions. I cannot divulge exactly all the evidence here. I can also divulge my opinion. I'm just trying to provide as much information as possible to you so that the Filipino people is informed.
Okay, so para ma-clear lang at matanggal po yung mga chismis at haka-haka online and among other people, ano po ang specific charges against these 12 officers? Were they engaged in the actual murder of these Sabongeros, or were they just merely dumped the bodies?
So let me put it in this fashion. The charges are grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Sabi dun sa complete affidavit ni Totoy, merong pagdukot at merong mga pinatay. That fact remains to be seen. We will cross the bridge when we get there. We have asked the respondents to answer. The summary hearing officers will look into this case. And of course, eventually, it will reach my desk and we will deliberate it with the National Police Commission and bank.
Para ma-educate lang kami ng konti, sir, no? If ever may criminal liability to mga police officials na ito, sa iba po dapat ang magkakaso or sa ibang venue dapat kasuhan sila, hindi po sa inyo?
Yes and no. Of course, the lead agency, ang talagang in charge sa criminal cases ay ang Department of Justice. So sila talaga nagpa-file ng mga kaso, sa kanila yung mga prosecutors, and that is really their mandate. Ang mandate talaga ng NAPOLCOM is the admin aspect of the case. Ito yung fitness of a person to be a policeman. Pero this does not mean that the NAPOLCOM cannot file cases. In fact, in the past, we have also filed criminal cases. Matatandaan natin dun sa 990 kilos of shabu. The NAPOLCOM is the one which filed the criminal cases against the erring policemen there. So depende talaga. So kung sabihin ng DOJ, ito na yun, and airtight naman na ginagawa na kaso ng DOJ, then that's it. Kung meron kailangan pang mga ebidensya at may makita pa kami at sabihan kami ng DOJ na ito pa, better i-file nyo na to, we will not hesitate to file additional criminal charges.
Pero does it mean po, yung ibang, if I'm not mistaken, may iba po kasi nga officers na retired na na-involve, no? Allegedly. Ibig sabihin po nun, hindi nyo na po sila mahahabol on your side.
As far as the admin case is concerned, pero we repeat, the investigation covers everything and everyone. Kung may nakakagip kaming mga iba-ibang tao dito, so tuloy-tuloy lang, di naman pwedeng, di namin papansinin itong aspect ng kasong ito because di siya police. Nakakagip siya eh. So, we have to see the whole story in its totality. Hindi po pwedeng pitchy-pitchy ang pag-iimbestiga. We have to understand the relationships of everyone here. So, we are still involving everyone in our investigation.
But I was wondering, just to follow up lang po, sir, kung meron pa po ba tayo nakikita possible expansion po ng involvement ng mga police officers outside of this 12 na pinag-uusapan po natin?
Meron talaga. At ito ay ongoing. So we are not limited to the 12. In fact, we are also investigating other policemen who might be involved. Kita na namin yung mga fingerprints ng ibang mga police dito, not literally but figuratively. So we're trying to look and weigh the evidence as against these other people.
Right.
And parang it was also out in the reports daw that there was some sort of pressure or offer sa opisina po ng, I think it was NAPOLCOM, to drop this case. Is that true, sir? And if so, are you also taking a look at these groups who are supposedly making the offer?
Una, sa akin, directed yung offer.
Okay.
Sa akin, directed yung pakiusap to do something. And I've been very clear and candid. Wala na akong ibang sasabihin na diretso, kundi huwag nyo nang subukan.
Okay.
Hindi po tayo nababayaran. So, ganoon po kasimple. There were 2 attempts. One is a sabong bossing who approached a person very, very close to me, and the second attempt is from the group of local government executive, a former local government executive who texted me, yung kapatid niya, and who even called up another very close person. Baka daw pwedeng mag-abogado ako or my former law partners sa criminal cases nila. So that is these insinuations, these attempts are very insulting. I'm not happy at all, and that's why I brought it out in the open.
And I'm assuming, attorney, hindi po natin sila pwedeng pangalanan ngayon.
Subukan pa nila uli, susunugin ko sila.
Okay. Dito nyo na lang po sabihin sa amin when you decide, sir, attorney. But on that po, I was wondering before we let you go, prior to this issue ng missing sabongeros na nalilink po dito sa mga 12 officers na ito, meron pa po ba silang prior cases before this?
I'm aware of a previous case. I don't know if some office has mentioned it. But previous admin case was filed against a number of the same policemen. Sadly, yung nakita kong case, dismissed yung case. It's
Anong
not an
case
apple
po
case.
yun?
It's not an apple
Very quickly lang po. Ano pong case yun? Is it also related dun sa sinasabi nila na mga
Drug war?
or other case pa po ito?
It is a drug war case. A drug war case kung saan yung mga taong involved dito, karamihan sa kanila or the main players have been sued. It is an admin case, not filed with the NAPOLCOM, but these men got scot-free. So, walang nakita ko yung ebidensya, nakita ko yung paano, ano yung pagkakasulat ng desisyon. Totoo niya na disappointed ako doon. Kasi kung yun, dinismiss na noon pa, wala na tayong pinag-uusapan ngayon dito.
Yes, that's right.
Importante yung mabilis yung aksyon, importante na tama yung desisyon.
Right.
Sa ako na siguro pangalanan yung opisina na nag-dismiss ng kaso.
Sige.
Laban
Okay.
sa pero sa lublob ko, pambira naman tong opisina ito. At least noon.
Attorney, dito mo pangalanan, tawagan ka namin ulit.
Oh, tsaka yung nagsusuhol sa'yo, attorney. Sunugin natin.
We will continue to get, promise yan, we will continue to get in touch with you regarding this development of the case. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, NAPOLCOM Commissioner, Attorney Rafael Vicente Calinisan.
Salamat.
All right, to combat rising food prices and long-standing agricultural challenges, the Philippine government is turning to Israel, a global leader in agri-tech innovation. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho has the details.
To manage inflation in the long term and address the persistent challenge of food insecurity, the Philippine government is looking to Israeli agricultural technology for solutions. At the Israel Agritech Innovation for a Food Secure Tomorrow Business Forum, held in Makati City yesterday, Department of Economy, Planning and Development Secretary Arsenio Balisacan emphasized the value of partnerships with countries like Israel, which have managed to boost agricultural productivity despite limited resources.
Because indeed they are a country initially faced with so many constraints, especially food supply, food production. It's very much at the heart of it, because what we are trying to do is to increase productivity for our agriculture.
The forum, attended by Israeli Minister for Economy and Industry Nir Barkat and key Filipino officials, showcased innovations from 12 agritech companies, with the hope that these discussions will pave the way for stronger partnerships and sustainable food systems in the Philippines. Balisacan stressed that integrating advanced technologies, like those developed in Israel, is aligned with the government's effort to modernize the agriculture sector.
The efforts of government are built on improving productivity and innovations like what they have, producing more out of very limited resources.
He also encouraged greater collaboration between local scientists, entrepreneurs, and Israeli agritech firms to make these innovations work for Filipino farmers.
Just like what the minister was saying, how those technologies, when these are seen by our entrepreneurs here, conglomerates or enterprises, if they see some opportunities, for the local scene, and then the government will come in and facilitate those transfers of technology. I think the future is calling for a smart farming with all this AI coming in.
Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
And before we let you go, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote for this morning. Don't give up. The hardest battles often lead to the greatest victories. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Keep pushing. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.